Alright, we're going to take a look at how to take some of our position and time data and put it into a position time graph. You'll notice that we've got one set of positions here, and we have multiple times here for multiple types of walks or types of movement. This is some data that I made up, but it should pretty closely reflect data actually collected in a typical experiment. Um, this is a situation where we really would like to have all of the data sets on the same graph. Unfortunately, Excel is not quite as smart as you think it should be. For a position time graph, we want position on the y and times on the x's, which is not what Excel will do by default. So we're going to have to manually select all of our data sets. Let's start by just highlighting our data and creating a graph, a scatter plot, kind of like that. You'll notice by default, it doesn't exactly look like what we expect. So I'm going to right click on my chart, and there's an option here after I right click called select data. I'm going to go there, and it's going to open up a dialog box. I'm just going to go through and manually edit each of these data sets. So I'm going to got series 1 selected. I'm going to go to edit. And this gives me a couple of options. I can name the series, and these little buttons here, in case you're unfamiliar, allow you to select data directly from your spreadsheet. So I'm going to take advantage of that, and my first series is going to be run. Just click on that cell. The X values are my times underneath run, and my Y values are my positions. And those same positions are going to go for each and every data set. Once you're done selecting it, hit OK. We're going to do the same thing for series 2. Let's make that one the jog. Select our series X values as the times under jog, and select our series Y values as our positions. And really you just go through and rinse and repeat for each of the series. Here's our walks, X and Y. Here are our zombie shuffles, X and Y. And you could move this chart out of the way so you can see what you're doing. I'm pretty confident with Excel so that I know about where I'm clicking. Edit. And here's an interesting data set, the speed up data set. You should expect, if you're moving at a constant velocity, that your data should be basically linear. And it looks like I made a small mistake here. You should expect basically a linear data set for all of your constant velocity sets. Speed up, however, is going to be a little bit different. Notice we have an extraneous series 6. Fortunately, there's a button right here saying remove. So we will get rid of series number 6. Once we're all done with that, I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see that we've got a nice data set here. Runs, jogs, walks, zombie, and speed up. And it all looks pretty nice. Now we got to go through and add in our trend lines and our equations and a couple other things. In the upper right hand corner, this is, by the way, Excel 2013. If you're not using 2013, you're using an older version. Sorry, an email came through there. If you're using an older version, instead of being in a nice little place up here you can click, it'll be in a menu option. The older version, you'll see it as format chart area, I think. I can add some chart elements here, like axes titles. I'm not going to worry too much if you guys don't do this though you could always insert a text box. But this is going to be our time in seconds. This is going to be our position in meters. And if you at least give me the title of the chart as position versus time, I'll know that the y-axis is position and the x-axis is time. So, just as we've done previously, I'm going to go through each of my data sets, right-click on them, and I'm going to add a trend line. I am going to say display equation on chart. You might have to manipulate the size of this chart to make everything fit okay. But this is our run. Add trend line. There's our, and notice, like, if you click on this little box, you can drag it around. I think it's probably easiest if I put the equation near the legend. I think that's what I'm going to do. There's the equation for our walk, and it does tell you the different color for trend lines. It's awful convenient. And last, here's our trend line for the zombie, and it's linear. Oh, this is all getting all kinds of confused. There we go. I mean, you can make it pretty. I mean, the important thing is that you see these equations, and you notice that for a run, we've got a very high slope. You notice for a jog, we've got a lower slope, and for a zombie shuffle, we've got a very, very low slope. It should be very clear the relationship between the slope and the velocity. It should be very clear the relationship between position, time, and velocity. There's an interesting one here we haven't done, and that's this speed up data set. So let me add a trend line for that. Whoops, I said data labels accidentally. Get rid of those. Let's add a trend line for that. And notice a linear trend does not describe it very well. But polynomial looks much nicer, doesn't it? We display the equation for the polynomial, we get a very interesting something here. Polynomial does seem to describe it pretty well. We haven't talked in class about what this means or what it looks like. Not every group did this bonus data set. If you did, great. You should probably see it as a polynomial. If you didn't, that's cool. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it yet. It's kind of an ugly looking graph. It's a little busy, it's a little chaotic, but if you send me this file, I'll be able to pick through it and make sure that everything looks the way it should, all the data is plotted correctly, and most importantly, that the data that you've got in this file supports any conclusions you make in your lab report. So there's a quick primer on how to manually select data for Excel and put multiple data sets onto your graph.